Now, college football coaches are paid millions of dollars. By no means do they have an easy job. Do they have a dream job? Absolutely. I mean, I think anybody that I know would want to be a college football coach. I mean, it would be my dream job. Um, you know, but that doesn't mean it's still not a job, right? Adapt or die, NIL edition, transfer portal edition. So I think it's very interesting to see the disparities between the traditional recruiting rankings and the portal rankings, right? So I'm looking here at the transfer portal on 24/7, and the top transfer portal people right now. I'll do the top 10 schools. Number 1, Florida State. Number 2, Colorado, like we mentioned earlier. Number 3, LSU. Number 4, Michigan. Number 5, Arizona State. Number 6, UCLA. Number 7, USC. Number 8, Oklahoma State. Number 9, SMU. Number 10, Washington. And now I think that with the portal, it's a way for non-major schools to kind of close the gap, as you can see. Some exceptions are LSU and Michigan. They're kind of on the outside looking in. Like, I'm a Michigan fan, clearly. We still haven't won a playoff game. Granted, we beat Ohio State twice, which is, a successful season. It doesn't feel like it after you lose to a team like TCU. I'm doing air quotes on that one because, you think you should be able to beat a team like that as a 8-point favorite in a championship, potential championship clinching game. That being said, Arizona State, not really. USC, of course, is same thing with Michigan and LSU trying to get back. Same with Florida State, I guess, too. But, you look at teams like, Colorado, Arizona State, UCLA, Oklahoma State, SMU, Washington. These are guys that are trying to close the gap. It's almost like a one-and-done sort of thing. But you got to also build the recruiting rankings. So I tweeted this out a few weeks ago where I was talking about how, hey, I want to make sure that I was wondering what people think is more important. Obviously, it's a pretty split 50-50, and the first person to figure out both is going to be great, right? So I think Michigan or Florida State has the best aggregated rankings. No, it's LSU. They're 3 in the portal, and in normal rankings, they're 7. Yeah, so you look at the normal rankings, and Alabama put up one of the best classes of all time. They're losing a ton, right? I think my guess is the top 2 picks in the draft are both going to be Bama guys. You have 1 to the Texans, pending this weekend. Number 1 to the Texans will be Bryce Young. Number 2 to the Bears will be Will Anderson. Honestly, I think that's who's go to those teams, even if it flips, right? So if the Bears lose and the Texans win this weekend, they'll flip. I still think those teams, it'll still go with those 2. They'll just flip. Number 2 is Georgia, obviously going crazy. But if you look at the difference between Georgia and Alabama, so Alabama has 7 5-stars. There's 1, 2, what is that? 12 5-stars in the top 5 outside of Alabama, and there's 7 on Bama. So there's 19 total, 7 of them going to Bama. That's crazy. And then they have 24 stars and then 1 3-star. They're averaging 94.9, whatever the heck that means, their pointing system. But 7 5-stars is crazy. And now just looking at an in-depth breakdown of these guys, the 5-stars are safety, edge rusher, tackle, D-line, edge, cornerback, running back. So no quarterback yet, which is nuts. Eli Holstein from Louisiana is their highest quarterback, because I don't know if Jaden Milroe is really that but I think they'll be one of those Drake May teams. Maybe they'll even try to get a guy like Duggan to come back if he doesn't go pro. He said he's going pro, but I don't know. Because there's a few teams that need quarterbacks, and it's weird that not many of them were getting the top quarterbacks. Malachi Nelson is the third best player overall. He's going to USC. Nico Malavea, I believe is how you say it, is going to Tennessee. Jackson Arnold, quarterback, going to Oklahoma. And then Arch Manning going to Texas, right? Because you look at a guy like Arch Manning and a guy like Malachi Nelson, and why don't you go to a Bama or a Georgia and then transfer after a year to the school you want to go to in Texas and USC once those jobs are open? Or do you want to sit there, redshirt, and work on your game for a year in that system? If that's the case, then I respect that. And in the age of the NIL, I would be surprised that they're doing that. But that's kind of, and maybe curving it back a little. Texas is 3rd in recruiting. Miami is 4th. Oklahoma is 5th. Ohio State 6th. LSU 7. Notre Dame 8. Tennessee 9, Clemson 10, Oregon 11, Texas A&M 12, Florida 13, Penn State 14, USC 15, other USC, South Carolina is 16, Michigan 17, TCU 18, Florida State 19, and Auburn 20. I'm trying to see if there's any 5 stars. UCLA got Dante Moore, obviously, but they have a pretty low recruiting class. Yeah, so it's going to be very interesting to see how you combine the portal with your rankings, right? So a team like Michigan, for example, right? You're going to be losing your running back probably in Blake Corum. Ronnie Bell's gone. Andrew Anthony portaled out, some receivers. But you're bringing in a pretty good class in the portal, all a bunch of O-line guys, and you're going to continue your team. You're going to need to still recruit guys out of high school, but you can also get a guy to portal right 1 year in and have him be better than any guy you'd probably be able to recruit. So if you look at Michigan, for example, I'm trying to get the kid's name right because I'm not totally in recruiting yet because I'm still in the semi-grieving of Michigan losing the other day. Ernest Hausman, he's a linebacker from Nebraska. He was unbelievable for them last year. He's a 5-star recruit ranked right now on the portal. He was a 4-star coming in, and he's going to make an immediate impact on that defense immediately. And, would a 5-star linebacker be able to walk into a defense like Michigan and a level of the Big Ten and do that immediately? Maybe. Is it as a sure thing as a guy that's already done it in the Big Ten West? Absolutely not. And that's why I think it's going to be helpful for a team like Michigan to get a guy like him in. Can you coach him up? Of course. Would you rather have him for a few years? Yes. But you're going to have to manage egos more than ever. It's going to turn into the NBA kind of, I think, in college basketball and in college football, but this is more college football, that the ability to balance egos is going to be one of the most important things you have to do on these as a college football coach. Gone are the days of having 2 good quarterbacks, right? You look at a team like Michigan, right? Cade McNamara started, and J.J. McCarthy was sitting there, wanted reps, got a few reps, and was better. Fans want him out. La-da-da-da, he's gone, right? If you're a backup and you think you're good, or your camp thinks you're good, or social media thinks you're good, or some NILs at other schools think you're good, you're not going to be sitting on the bench. The bench is gone, right? Gone are the days of kids that, you like Alabama stacking 5 stars. Like, I have a feeling I would say 3 of these 7 5-stars are not on the roster next year. Kids want to play 4 years, and at a school like Bama, I don't know if you can be able to do that. I would have thought that the NIL would have kind of balanced college football out in terms of recruiting. It hasn't entirely, but obviously with the school like Texas Christian getting into the college football playoff and now the championship game, being one of the historically worst teams to ever make it, worst being based on recruiting rankings, they are a team full of seniors and guys that have been there and bought in and, kind of combined with a few new guys coming over from SMU and other Sonny Dykes coach teams, that, it worked for them. So I'm just surprised there's teams not like USC out in the portal heavily trying to get all these defensive guys to bring in and fix their issues, because it's almost like a free agency, the portal, right? And recruiting's like the draft, kind of, in a weird way, where it's like you can get a guy for longer, recruiting, one would think. And in the portal, it can be like, hey, we have, I don't know, what's a good example? Hey, we need a quarterback. Let's go out there and portal and get him in. Like Notre Dame's a pretty strong team on defense, a pretty good offensive team. They need a quarterback bad. Let's go get Sam Hartman. Boom, done. Signed, deal, and delivered. And he can kind of hold on while Lloyd Carr's grandson gets in and figures out what's going on in Notre Dame, right? And it's going to be very interesting to see how these teams do it, because Alabama had a pretty rough portal class this year, one would say. I know they had Jahmyr Gibbs come in, which was really good, but, I think it's Imani Ricks. Is it Ricks? Whatever the Ricks guy's name is, I'm sorry. He was supposed to be a really good recruit and just didn't pan out. So Georgia and these guys have systems. Teams that are like switching coaches, the portal will be more important in, but it's going to be interesting to see, like, next year, does Bama bounce back? They had a pretty bad season for them, right? 10-2, which is wild that's a bad season for them. Obviously, and I think they ended up 11-2. But Yeah, so they have a big recruiting class. They have a hole at the quarterback. It'll be interesting to see how they can figure that out. Bama's never really had like stud quarterbacks like this before, so Bryce Young was kind of like interesting and kind of an outlier in a weird way. But George is the same way. They need a quarterback. All these teams need quarterbacks. I'm kind of circling back to that point. Sorry, but it's important, right? Even Ohio State needs a quarterback, but they haven't gone out there and gotten one. So we've seen teams. I know obviously I just did the Michigan short about the recruiting violations with Michigan over a burger, but teams were throwing millions of dollars at Drake May, the quarterback of UNC, and almost Heisman favorite. He would probably be the favorite this year, but almost Heisman finalist, Drake May from University of North Carolina. Once these teams figure out how to use the portal, the big teams, it could, go back to what it was, a high society club of like six or seven teams, with every once in a while a team coming in like Michigan or TCU to break it up. But I think the portal's done its job for now and kind of gotten us some parity in college football. Some coaches know how to use it better than others, and some coaches will just, stick their head in the sand and maybe die trying. We saw that maybe from Dabo this year with kind of a year that he fell off. I think they'd be very good next year, so don't clip this later. But, they haven't used the portal last year. Venables didn't use the portal at all, and they had bad seasons, both schools. Oklahoma a lot worse than Michigan, a lot worse than Clemson. But you look at the portal rankings now, and I believe they were like 12th, Oklahoma. They also had a really good class coming in this year. So it'll be interesting to see how teams do it, right? Because, the portal giveth, the portal taketh. So adapt or die, college football edition. This is a little bit more of a rambling video, just kind of talking about how I hope, and it's going to be interesting to see how teams finish out and use the portal going into next year. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and see you guys later. Peace.